All right, I want to welcome everybody back on for another message from the host. This is actually going to be a message from the wellness unit. We've had a rough stretch here in DPD of some alcohol-related incidents, and we just want to reiterate our mission and our message to our people and encourage them to reach out. And we have some familiar voices. They're going to be on the mic. Sergeant Gordon Fulton, now a sergeant, now Lieutenant Andre Taylor. He's back with us. Mm-hmm. My partner Kent's here, and also we have another podcast alumni in Chief Teena Schultz. She's back with us to talk about this message. Thank you all so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here.
I want to kind of just talk about get into our alcohol leave policy and also just the stigma that we have seen in this profession. All of us have various tenures on the department, and I believe we've gotten better, but I think we also have ways to go with getting people to feel comfortable coming out. Gordon, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So the biggest part is the stigma. I mean, it's still very much alive. From when the alcohol leave program first came out, it still has that feeling for a lot of people that it's a bit of a trap, or that it's going to end up ruining your career, derail you, get you put into a closet somewhere in the back end of headquarters. With the message with it coming out, the biggest thing is trying to break that stigma on that. It's not going to derail your career. It's not going to get you locked into the back room away from the public eye. And that all it is so that you can end up getting happy, healthy, so that you can end up having a continued career with this department and also a longer life with your family.
Well, I tell you what will derail your career is sadly ended up on the news with a smash putting out a mugshot picture of you, and that will derail your career.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
That's what we're trying to get away from, and coming out with this policy. And Dre, you could speak on. You've been here a very long time as well, and you've seen the changes over the years as far as you know how the difficulty is for officers, anybody in this profession, to come out.
Very much so. The trying to admit that you have a problem within our department, or just probably in our profession, is difficult. Trying to show that you have your stuff together on the outside when you really don't is the difficult part. And I think we forget that we're all human, right? No one's perfect, but there's a level of expectation and dignity in this job. And most people want to feel like they got it, like they take care of that. But if we all realize that we're all a little flawed, and that we all can use some correction, it will help. This department not our department, our profession doesn't allow for the errors or the faults in us to come out to the forefront. We all have them. We just have to work on them. And I think this program helps us work toward getting and being a better human, so that we can actually be better for the community, better for the department. But we have to get past that initial fear.
Yeah, and those stigmas. I mean, everybody talks about the buzz phrase "smash the stigma, stop the stigma," and it's until you actually do something about it as a department, you're really not doing anything. You're just saying words. But if you don't put policies or like in our case, we have a wellness unit now. We actually have programs put in place for our people. That is action, and it's not just words.
I agree. I am a recipient of action. I was struggling, going through what I was going through, had taken the test to promote, and I did not get held up. I didn't get stopped. I didn't get derailed. I didn't get thrown back in a room. I was given a very fair opportunity to do the job that I promoted to tell my story, to talk to people, and let folks know that our department supports us. We have to get past that fear.
Chief, you anything to add to that?
I just think one of the big things that people have to recognize is we as officers, no matter what the rank is, we do have what I would call a superhero complex. Everybody looks to us to fix their problems or to help. And I think in that sometimes we forget to look internally, and sometimes we need to help ourselves, because you can't help others if you can't help yourself. And that's the biggest thing is, with these two guys coming here is, kind of telling their story again and realizing there are people that are out there to help you. There are people that have walked that path before, and the path may seem difficult, but the path is doable.
And it really starts at the top, and I do want to get out there. We have already recorded Chief Como's episode, and I think the listeners that are non-police and are going to really find out what Chief Como's about and how he believes in this mission. We all know, Kent and I know what he feels, but there's other people in this room that may not fully understand or know his direction. But I will tell the listener that once you hear him, and I'm telling you now that he fully supports his people. He wants people to be healthy in mind, body, and soul, and he wants to keep them here in Dallas, and he wants to support them. He's a big believer in counseling and also in this policy, and that's we've had a rough stretch here, as I mentioned, about some alcohol-related incidents, and he basically says you got to get more of a handle on this. So this message is also, we just want to remind people of what we're about and what direction we want to continue going in as a department. And I'm looking at two people here that I've known Dre your whole career, and I know your path in SWAT, and I know all you've contributed at SWAT, mounted, your leadership. I know you as a human being, and when you reached out, I got to say I was shocked, but I was very proud and happy that you of all people felt that you could reach out.
Yeah.
And same with Gordon, and now you're a supervisor. Both of you have promoted since you utilized our policy, and I think that says a lot about our department.
G, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, no. I mean, when I ended up reaching out, I had said it on my episode, but I'm still just absolutely shocked that the department didn't try to hold me back. I mean, that was probably one of the biggest fears that I ended up having, was because just like Dre, I had gone on ahead and I had taken a promotional exam and I was on a list. And when I ended up going in, I was like, this is it. They don't have to say, quote unquote, you're not qualified, but they can go on ahead and say, we're going to hold you back for another round, and then another round, and then another round. And I figured that was going to be exactly the case for me, until the list ended up dying. And that ended up not being the case, that I was afforded the opportunity to take advantage of the program to get help, not just for myself, not just for my unit that I was in at the time, but the citizens of Dallas as well. And I wasn't penalized for reaching out. I was allowed to go on ahead and accept a promotion so that I can continue on and go forward.
What was your plan if you were some sort of penalized in any way? What, were you willing to accept that to get better?
At the point that I was at, yes. I didn't care about the promotion. I didn't really care too much about myself anymore. I cared about my family life with my fiance. I was going to end up having that all thrown away. I didn't have an idea yet at that time until I went in and I ended up seeing a doctor at rehab. But, I mean, I was knocking on death's door with how much I was drinking. So, yes, if I had been penalized by this department because I reached out for help, I would have been bitter, yes.
You're still alive.
But I would have been alive. I would have gotten help, and I would have had at least a future ahead of me still.
Man, 20-something years in, when I reached out, I just knew it was going to be rumor mill explosion. Right? I think I said that before, that I just knew that this was just going to be the thing that just blew up, and now the career that I built and the things that I've done were now just going to have this asterisk on it. And it didn't. So that was the crazier part, right? But it was getting past my fear, because all of that was in my head. It wasn't real. All of the, I think this might happen or that might happen or how this might affect my reputation, none of that was true. The only thing that happened when I reached out was simply, we got you, we'll take care of you, and put your time in, we got it. That's the only thing that happened. Folks in my unit did not know what was going on. And so I was very appreciative of that. It was important to me that this wasn't a smear campaign. It wasn't anything along that line. And oddly, crazy enough, exact opposite of what I thought, was that I got a lot of congratulations afterwards. A lot of people said, hey, man, I appreciate you doing that. Hey, I actually needed some help. Hey, can I call you? And I think that's what we also need to make sure we're open up to. Reach out to people, because someone's there willing.
I think by doing that, by reaching out, the way I look at it, sitting in an assistant chief role is, I think it is one of the most courageous things that an officer, no matter what their rank, can do. And so when I hear these stories, I don't even think about the alcohol use or anything like that. I just look at that individual as a hero, because you get to be an example for somebody, and somebody can take your story and hopefully apply it to their life. So for you and everybody else out there, it is courageous.
Well, it takes leadership to a new level, I believe. And I will say that, Gordon, you were the second to go through, and Dre, you were the fourth to go through. And both of y'all have come forward and told your stories on this show. And I think that's why it's important for y'all to come in. And here's a teaser. We may have another individual coming on at a later date to talk about their story and what they went through and getting to that point of getting in there. And I know the 12th step of the 12-step program is service to others. And I know for a fact some of the people that have gone through after y'all, I know they have reached out to y'all and y'all have had conversations with them to put their mind at ease. Mm-hmm. And that means a lot. That is pure leadership. So I do want to talk about the alcohol leave policy of what we actually have going here, in case, because I've talked to some people recently and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know we had a policy." So, okay, well, we're gonna do all we can to educate you more on this. So we started up, basically, if you come forward before you have an alcohol-related incident and you say, "I have a problem and I want to address this and get help," the city of Dallas and our PD will basically put you on paid time, while you go through a inpatient facility. And the wellness units, one of our jobs is to vet several facilities around the Metroplex. We have some that are out of state, and we try to make the process as seamless as possible. So if somebody in here, if Ken here told me, "Hey, I need, after this recording, I need to go through," I probably could have him onboarded within a couple of hours and get him over there. And we have like 6 or 7 different facilities that we utilize, and we vet these places, and we have good relationships with these people, and we have the process down pretty pat. And when you went through, we were still trying to figure it out, and the same with Dre. We're still just trying to walk on this thin ice, and also of how to juggle getting people help, but also do it in respect everybody's privacy, because I understand what you're talking about, Dre, that you did not want to be part of the rumor mill, because you are a very private person. Mm-hmm. And you didn't want to, especially something when it comes into this, you didn't want this out there. And I have to say, there's even you went, I had heard that you went to Garcia and thanked him. He's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He's like, "Get out of here."
Yeah. We don't just sit around and talk about it. And I know that you were a sergeant over SWAT whenever you reached out. Man, everybody, I was getting messages. Oh my God, they had no idea. But I think that's one of the things that people become so good at, hiding it and suffering in silence.
Yep.
Yes.
So Gordon, I'll start with you first. So like when you first reached out, and I know your story, and I know your how apprehensive you were about reaching out initially. We're going to talk about some of the barriers people may have reaching out. What was your biggest?
My pride and my ego was the biggest reason why I didn't want to reach out. I'm a Dallas police officer. I'm supposed to handle everything and not have any problems of my own that I can handle. And the only reason why that wall ended up coming down was, as I've said multiple times to multiple people, I don't know, other than it was divine intervention. I was just having a normal day, having my drink, and then something ended up creeping up inside of me to set it down, talk to my wife. Well, my now wife, she was my fiance at the time, and then tell her finally that I had a problem, and then to reach out to you. I mean, it's like I had said. I mean, the biggest thing is just we're the motherfucking police. I can handle everything. If I can't handle my own stuff, then what good am I? So really, that was always the biggest problem for me, and the biggest barrier was my pride and my ego on not wanting to reach out for help in the beginning.
And you had a lot of support from your chain too, which I think is very key.
I was shocked by that because this was such a new program, and I was so apprehensive on reaching out because I was in a unit that was brand new. It was put together by Chief Garcia, and I was a part of the original 5 members that got hand selected. And here I am coming up to my lieutenant now at the time, and I was like, I need help. This is what's going on with me. I mean, I didn't want to get kicked out. I was having fun. I was running gun and serving warrants, doing investigations. It was the greatest thing. It was where I always wanted to be.
But you were holding on by a thread.
To put it lightly, yeah. I was hanging on by a thread every single day.
When Bree reached out to me on that, and yes, we were still trying to figure out everything with this policy at the time. And at the time, we only had like 2 locations that we had vetted at that point. And she reached out, and you and I had that first conversation. It was a very emotional conversation.
Oh yeah, no, you can put it down. I mean, the fact that I ended up finally letting all that out. I mean, I was in tears talking to you in person and on the phone because I just balled all that up and just trapped it inside for so long.
It's a big deal to finally reach out, and I remember, Dre, you were talking about, and the other time you were here on this show, that you had a mental countdown. You basically, if somebody didn't respond within 30 minutes, you were just gonna, I'm all right now.
Hey man, that was the truth.
Yeah.
There was a time frame, right? Used to limits and boundaries and yada yada, which I'd always push past and beyond whatever. But no, I didn't want to make that first call. You get to that place where you're like, okay, enough's enough. I know I can't handle it, and I need help. But that's a small window. That's a very small window of opportunity where you recognize it, you're willing to take that step, and then you're scared. So that window is super small. And so, yeah, you had about 30 minutes.
So Dre, I wanted to ask you about that because you ended up saying that or on the podcast and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to know, did you have the same feeling I did that when you first reached out, like when I originally reached out to my wife and said that I have a problem, did you hope that after you had said it, it was going to go to the wayside and just fade away into the abyss where you're like, okay, so I told somebody, but now I don't have to act on it, or you're hoping you don't have to act on it and get help?
No, so I didn't tell anybody, right? I was at home by myself, so there was no one to tell. I just called Joe.
No, that's what I mean. Like you telling Joe, and like you had a 30-minute window because you got kind of inside going, I hope he doesn't respond.
Oh, no, I knew he was going to respond. I just didn't want it. No, I knew he was going to respond.
It was like 2 minutes.
Yes, literally 2 minutes. So whatever thoughts I may have had about, man, I hope it goes away.
You didn't even have time.
No, sir. There was no time for doubt. So once it was done, and I was like, well, here we go.
Yeah, that was on a Saturday because I was getting ready for Cops Cop, trying to get my tux to my short James Bond impression, and then I see that, and I almost fell out on the floor. That I literally, and I said this before, I've like looked in our director to see if there was another Andre Taylor on the department. No, that's him. That's him.
Yep, that's it.
One other thing I want to talk about as far as our policy goes here in Dallas, and I know other agencies. I had to, whenever this got going, Chief Ramirez wanted me to reach out to other agencies in Texas to see if they did something similar, and I could not find anybody. And I called all the way from as south as the border you can go to as north, almost to Oklahoma, and I did not find anybody that did it like we do. And one of the things is there's nothing punitive that if you elect to do this, you come back. And again, whenever we hired on, you're going to be probably at the property room or auto pound or some other. And no offense to those units, but that is, you're going to be out of the public eye, and you were going to be in a position to serve like you want to.
Correct. Man, I came right back to work.
Right back to SWAT.
Right back to SWAT. So
back on call.
Back on call. But the good part about it was I was allowed to come back to normalcy, right? There was no, well, you had a problem, so now we're going to sit you down. There wasn't any of that. It was, you're back to work. We're back here with you. And again, the support afterwards is just outstanding. That's what the fear beforehand and the support afterwards, totally opposite of what I thought. And I'm glad I got that.
Yeah, well, it's our natural instinct, I think, is in this profession, because we deal with the ugly side of society, right? And we know the long-standing culture of our department with drinking, or with also leadership, as far as if you show any kind of weakness, you're not going to be treated the same.
Yep.
And a lot of people, they throw up a lot of people throw up a lot of smoke and mirrors and get very good at hiding either their mental health struggles or their addiction struggles, and a combination of all. And this profession has had a very dark history of penalizing folks for coming out and ridiculing.
First time in my career that I have seen where this department supports you when you say you have a problem. Like, you have an issue, you're working toward fixing it, and we're saying our department is saying we will take care of you. That is a huge first step, and it's happened a lot, right? Because I know I'm not the only recipient of that. Even if I'm one of the few people that decide to talk about it, I know other people have been supported by this program, by this policy, and I just wish more people would use it.
Absolutely, and we try to really make it as seamless, and because we know it's a difficult decision coming forward anyway, we try to make it as seamless as possible and as put everybody at ease as much as we can. And honestly, your messaging coming from you guys, that is key to this whole mission, is letting people hear from people that have actually done it. I can get her and talk all day about, we got you, we got your back, we're going to take care of you. But to hear from people that actually saw it firsthand, I think that's very valuable in continuing this journey. So I will say this, people that come back, they can go back to their original assignment, and everything's a case-by-case thing. If other people want something different and need something different, we also do our best to help out that as well. And the onboarding is one of the most difficult parts of this, and I believe I'm very comfortable with the process now and getting it down where people can go right in, drop you off, and pick you up, and then make it. Hell, I was there when you got picked up, yes, and I saw that it was very touching and moving. That I can see you're a different person.
The stress, right? Yeah, you remove all of that opportunity, or all those things that you're holding on to that really just weren't that important. All of that stuff, you have an opportunity to get rid of it, right? I will say that it's going through the program, not to be callous, but it's not a cure-all, right? There's still work to be done.
Of course.
All right, and I think that's what some people have to remember too. This is help. And as long as you're continuing to serve, you're continuing to do the things that you need to do, people will respect that, you'll respect that, and you'll have that joy still. But I think part of what our department doesn't know, some of our people don't realize, is that the chain supports them. And I think Chief mentioned that. Supervision wants you to be a good officer. They support you being a healthy officer. They want you to be in the best that you can be so you can serve for that.
Chief Como had mentioned when we talked to him that it's a retention issue, right? We don't want to lose officers to things that we can fix. So instead of losing an officer's career, let's save their career. If you look at it just not as a human, right, but as an administrator, it costs a lot of money to train and hire police officers. It's a whole lot easier to keep them.
Absolutely.
Right? So now we just take those little steps and try to help people to keep them from leaving Dallas PD.
So I do want to point out that just because we have this policy and we have inpatient care, and it is inpatient facilities, it's not outpatient. That was the original spirit of the policy that was put in place. Is the department wanted to have skin in the game of like inpatient versus outpatient, and I get that because I see the benefit. Basically, you're separating yourself from your life, and you're going to the great unknown, and I can't imagine. It's a hell of a commitment. And I can't imagine that feeling of going, disconnecting. So, but not everybody that goes into rehab, everybody gets in trouble that doesn't necessarily have to go to rehab or have a problem. Some people just have too much that particular day or night, and that is important for everybody to know. But every time you see somebody get in trouble for this, you see a lot of people post it on Facebook or their social media saying, "I am here for you night and day, call me," and all this, which, yes, I want them encouraged to get a ride, but also in the day and age of ride shares being at your fingertips, it's so easy to get a ride within honestly, if I wanted to get up and get out of this room right now, I could probably find a ride in 5 minutes, or less than 10 minutes, to pick me up and take me wherever I wanted to go. And it's probably going to cost me less than I paid on the drinks that I consume.
Yes. Our making better decision making, right? Better decision making is where it kind of comes down to, because everyone that's gotten into an issue here lately doesn't mean that they have a problem, but it's just bad decision. So how do we help people make better decisions, right? What tool is that? What avenue does that take? And I think it does start with a conversation, right? If you realize that you're at a place, then have that initial call, make that conversation. Everyone says, oh, we're here for you. Well, then freaking call them, put them to the test. Especially every sergeant that I've ever known since I've been on the department says, if something happens and you find yourself in a pickle, whether you're on or off, call me. I've never heard a supervisor say, don't call me.
Right.
So if they're saying, call me, okay, call them. Put that supervisor to work. That's your boss. He wants to know. He wants to help you. Call him. Utilize what you have.
I mean, I absolutely agree with that. And I mean, one of the biggest things is how do we end up getting the troops to be able to feel comfortable where they would actually go, okay, I'm going to actually reach out to this supervisor. I'm going to reach out to this sergeant. And that's probably the biggest question in my mind, is how do we end up getting that to happen? What I've been doing is, for like the past year, because everybody has different days off from their supervisors and all of that, I don't tell my troops my days off. They can look at the detail if they want, but generally they're not looking at the detail. They show up, and I mean, I've missed detail a couple times because I'm putting in numbers and stats and tracking for my officers. So they've already texted me, they've called me, they've gotten a hold of me on my day off after I've already left work, and they have no idea that they've already been talking to me about that. And I let that happen for about a year. And only then did I end up telling everybody, I'm like, look, my phone number is, and it's up on the detail board. I'm like, over half of you in this room have already called me, texted me, said something's going on, or asked my advice, or some kind of penal code definition on my off day, and I am picking up the phone for you. If you have a problem because you are drunk out somewhere and you need a ride, call me, because I've already shown you guys, without you realizing it, that I'm going to pick up my phone for you no matter what. And you're not going to get a lecture from me. I was like, mind you, if you do it 6-7 times and you're making me your personal Uber, we're going to have a conversation then.
Right.
But the biggest hurdle that I'm seeing right now, because even before becoming a supervisor, is you hear it, but how do you end up actually getting the troops to take that to heart, where they will actually call the supervisor or somebody else to actually help them out when they need help?
No, that's important, but that goes into changing culture, right? And that starts at the top. We've had, since this unit's existence and since this policy started, we've had support from the top, and that's going to continue. And it should trickle down to all the other supervisors and commanders to put all their troops, establish a culture and an environment at your stations or at your unit that they feel comfortable reaching out. Because, I mean, let's face it, there are some people that never would reach out to one of their supervisors. And I'm challenging the supervisors as much as, yes, we have to worry about response time. Yes, we have to worry about no more off, or prioritize your people's health and their wellness. Because you think that you want to do the paperwork, you want to have to make that drive out to their house to take their gun and their badge while they're on administrative leave, and you're potentially losing a career. And that quickly could spiral after that. So I do want to ask a kind of a final question, or just like y'all send a message to anyone out there that's on the fence about trusting this policy or trusting this department or trusting the process. What message would you want to give them, Gordon?
The message that I would end up giving them is, if you're on the fence and you're debating as to if you should reach out because you do believe you need help, but you're worried about what's going to happen to me on this department, I could end up telling you my story 150 times over. The only thing you need to focus on is your health, your relationship with your family, and your future. don't worry about the career so much. You need to worry about staying alive. As far as taking my word for it, I mean, when I came back, I ended up having my debrief with Joe and Sergeant Figueroa in the wellness unit, and they offered me additional time to stay off, and I really just said no, mainly because I wanted to see if I was going to call their bluff. I said I wanted to go back to my unit, and within 16 hours of that meeting, I was back at work, and we were actually serving a warrant that day. So, I mean, you can take my word for it or leave it, but the biggest thing you need to focus on is you need to focus on your own health and the relationship with your family, your kids, your mom, your dad, and just staying alive.
I agree, and I would add to do the hardest and scariest thing that you're feeling like you want, that you can't do, right? The hardest thing is to make that call or to reach out. The most fearful thing that you're going to do in that moment is decide that I actually want to take this step. Everything else up until that point has been comfortable, or you getting comfortable, or you avoiding, or whatever that case may be. The hardest thing you can do is the thing you probably need to do the most. That is the thing to do.
Hey sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far the sun and the moon, I'll never give up on you. When you're lonely, I'll pull you up. Life leaves you heavy when the going gets tough. I'll be your shoulder, together we'll run up from the bottom, yeah, we'll rise above. Hey brother, hey sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far the sun and the moon, I'll never give up on you. Give up on you. Hey brother, hey sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far, for the gold and the blue, I'll never give up on you.